Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Corner Office. A little bit of a new format here. Hopefully, if we get this all running up and smoothly, you're going to be able to see us. We have some cameras right now. Jack actually has a webcam. He's got his little streamer set up right now. Amen. Um, and it's really good to be back. We have a huge episode coming up. As most of you probably already know, this weekend is one of the biggest in American sports, that being the Super Bowl. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about there. And then moving back to the NBA, I mean, we have the NBA trade deadline to talk about. So, this is going to be a full fledged episode on a very special occasion. Jack, please tell us more about that.
So 1 year ago today, on February 9th, 2024, we recorded our first episode, which was coincidentally also the Super Bowl episode for last year.
Yep.
And for the 1 year anniversary, we decided to get our shit together and figure out how to get ourselves on video, try and get some more growth and bring you all some more content. So Alex, clap it up for 1 year. Why don't we?
Yeah, here we go. Way to go. I think we both knew that we weren't going to stop doing this after the first couple episodes. So, it's not a super big surprise that we're here again, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun thus far. It's been a great journey, and, we're just hoping to continue to grow as time goes on. I think we should just start by delving into the absolute stupidity that is sports betting when it comes to the Super Bowl. As an NCAA athlete, I need to make it clear that I cannot participate in any of the betting. But that being said, it is fun to make picks for this show, and I do like to, see what Jack's brain has when it comes to what's going to be happening for this weekend. So let's just start up with some of the prop bets that are going to be going on and talk about the Super Bowl, because I know that we have very much been looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, so what a lot of people don't really understand, especially like the older generation of people who are watching the Super Bowl this year, is that the prop bets that we're talking about, they have nothing to do with how the players are going to do in game, and they have nothing to do with which team is going to win. We are taking the dumbest prop bets that everyone is going to talk about leading up to the Super Bowl, which is having to do with all the stuff surrounding it and nothing with the actual game. So yeah, we're falling into that group of people that we actually don't really like that much, but you all are going to have to deal with it. So with no further ado, let's jump right into it, Alex.
Yeah, man.
The first prop that we're going to talk about has to do with the beginning of the game. Actually, before the game even starts, and that is the national anthem length. And this is something that one of my friends bet on last year, and let's just say it didn't go his way. And
unfortunate.
Everyone thought that Chris Stapleton was going to go over because, he's a country singer. It's nice and slow, but he didn't. So this year, the singer is Reba McEntire, who I think had her own show, but I don't really know what she's known for personally.
Okay.
No shade intended at all.
Yeah, for sure. No.
But the line is set at 90 and a half seconds, which is a minute and a half for those of you who couldn't do the quick math. 90 and a half seconds for a national anthem seems kind of low to me. Last year it was 101.
It does. It does feel a bit low. Reba McEntire, by the way, has sold over 75 million copies or records worldwide. So, I think that she kind of knows what she's doing when it comes to singing. But that being said, she is another person that is, cut from that, country-ish Twain cloth. So in my opinion, I think that whenever we have a country singer doing the national anthem, you gotta bank on it going over. In the last 15 years, the over is 7, 9, and 1, I think.
Not a great record.
Not a great record. And I don't know why I said 15 years and then gave you 18 years, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I think that the over has hit 9 times in the last 15 years, which is something that, if you're playing the percentages, which I'm a man of the percentages, I think I'm taking the over here.
I think that I'm going to take the over at 90 and a half too. She's not part of this generation that likes to draw it out forever and ever. You know what I mean? There's a certain subgenre of national anthem singers that like to just stretch the national anthem out way longer than it's intended to go. And I don't think that she'll do that. Typically the country side that sings the national anthem likes to keep it fairly brief and not really drown it out too long, but I think that she's going to hit the over at 90.5. So I'm going to agree with you. Lock it in. Corner Office thinks that the national anthem will last longer than 90.5 seconds.
All right. One down. I think that's a good pull for us. Look, Reba McEntire, Jack, clearly not familiar with your game.
How familiar are you with Reba McEntire?
Not super.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I do think that whenever I get faced with this type of question, I think I'm taking the over when it comes to the national anthem, because I just don't trust that people, want to get off that 15 seconds of fame that they're going to have from singing it. So yeah, here we go.
All right, the next one. We're just going to move chronologically, I guess. Alex, do you think that the coin flip will end in heads or tails?
This is a big one. This is a make or break for a lot of people. It's a 50-50 chance. Could go either way every year. No one really knows who is going to come out on top of the heads versus tails battle. It's one of the oldest in the test of time. It's lasted forever. It's a quintessential. It's an American staple. That being the heads versus tails coin toss. And you know what? This year I'm feeling like I'm never gonna fail. It's been a long run. It's been on my mind for a while which side I think this coin is going to flip. But that being said, I'm going tails this year. I'm going tails.
I hate to start the episode off by agreeing with you twice in a row, but it is an age-old saying that tails never fails, and personally, tails for me has literally never failed. And I've played my fair share of coin flips. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with tails and lock it in there too.
Do you think that the team that wins this coin toss is going to defer, or are they going to receive in this game to get back to football here?
I think the trend in the NFL lately has been to defer. I know that the Chiefs defer. I believe the Niners like to start with the ball, but I think that the team will defer.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and look, lock in tails. It's rare that we have two agreements about especially something as important to the game as the coin toss. I wasn't expecting to agree there.
What do you think? Return or defer or accept?
Yeah, I think they'll both defer. I don't think you want the ball on the opening drive of the Super Bowl. It's a lot of pressure.
It is. All right, the third one that we're going to get into, or maybe the fourth one technically, we're going to talk about the kickoff. Alex, do you think that it will be a touchback?
I don't think it'll be a touchback.
Touchback is minus 350 right now.
All right, so look, I've been Pat McAfee is an analyst. He works for ESPN. He also has a daily show where he runs his own podcast talking about football. And listening to him discuss what the kickoff is like at the NFL playoffs and during the Super Bowl was something that really changed my perspective about the whole thing, I think. The fact that it's a brand new ball that you're kicking, not one right out of the box, not one that they have worked or anything like that, makes it extremely hard to kick. The fact that there's so much pressure, the lights, the atmosphere is different. It's probably the biggest kick of your life. You don't want to mess that up. And all that being said, even though we got guys like Harrison Butker and remind me of the San Francisco
Jake Moody.
49ers.
Jake Moody. He's a rookie.
Right. Yeah. Out of Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Even though we got guys with massive legs, this is the age of the kicker. It's the age of the kicker nowadays. I don't see this ball going out of the end zone. I think that, with the brand new ball and the atmosphere of the entire Super Bowl, add on top of that the fact if the San Francisco 49ers are kicking, it's a rookie kicker. Kind of shaping up to be an in ball, a ball that's in play, in my opinion.
So I'm actually going to disagree with you here directly because of that same reasoning. I think that if the Chiefs... or if the Niners win the ball, if the Niners win the tail, Jesus, I can't figure it out. If the Niners win the coin flip and defer, and they are kicking the ball, then I agree that it will not be a touchback. But if the Chiefs win the toss, kick the ball away, Harrison Butker has been this is his fourth time kicking off in the Super Bowl. I don't really think that he's going to struggle that much with those nerves. I think that it'll be a touchback.
Okay.
I think he's going to boot it through the field. If there was a bet that I could take that he kicked a field goal on the opening kick just to assert dominance with a brand new football, I would take that line. I think it's going to be a touchback out the back of the end zone.
Okay. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Look, I think that this wholly banks on Jake Moody getting the football or not.
I agree. Fully agree with you.
That being said, kicking a brand new football, not an easy thing to do. So we'll see. We'll see on that one.
All right, moving forward. The next one that we're going to talk about is kind of a whole game one, and we're just going to stay with the kickers.
Oh, okay.
I don't see this being a game where there's a ton of field goal attempts besides extra points.
Yeah, I agree.
But do you think that there will be a doink, which means either an upright or a crossbar in this game?
Thank you for clarifying. It's important to let the viewers at home know that we mean business when we talk about doinks. We're not just talking about
we're a doink positive show, and
we're a pro.
We don't really mess around.
Show.
We don't mess around when it comes to talking about doinks.
Which is why I'm a bit offended that you would even ask this question. As I just discussed, I think it's the age of the kicker, and I really don't think that either of these guys have great doink resumes. I mean, neither of them have been known to doink massive field goals. Jake Moody hasn't been making as many as, you probably would like him to going into this position. But that being said, he hasn't missed any that have hit the bars. It's just such a small margin of error to hit a doink that I just don't think we're going to see one in the Super Bowl, unfortunately, because it would be pretty awesome.
I don't think we will either. I think that when you watch football, it's a lot of fun to hear the football hit those uprights and be like, boing, especially if you're rooting against the kicker. But Jake Moody has been very poor in recent form, meaning that he has missed a lot of field goals in big moments where they need field goals. And so I think that if anyone is going to do it, it'll be Moody. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I don't think we're going to see a doink, sadly. Although I did take out a mortgage on a fictional house and put it on over 0.5 doinks in this game. So we will be rooting for them.
Do you think there will be a missed kick at some point on the less of the pro doink side here? Because I think that's a better.
It's a more even question.
It's a lot less fun.
In Vegas, indoors, I don't think we'll see a missed kick.
Okay.
I don't think we will.
Okay, you think they're dialed in. I think that we'll see one. I mean, this playoffs has kind of been dictated on the fact that a lot of kickers have not been making kicks. And although they haven't been missing in dramatic fashion by hitting an upright, which would be awesome to see in the Super Bowl, I think that somebody is due to pull one to the left or to the right, even though they're playing indoors, just because, for the hell of it. Let's make it a fun game.
Who do you think would do that?
Game's almost over. You're going to ice it. Jake Moody pulls one to the left. Patrick Mahomes gets the ball back, scores a touchdown, go into overtime.
So you're saying that it's going to be Moody who's going to hit it?
Yeah. Well, he's going to miss it, but yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. He's going to miss. But you're saying it's Moody, not... There's a 0% chance that Harrison Butker misses a field goal.
I don't think Butker will miss it.
You're going to put the kicker curse on Butker.
Oh, yeah. Watch me. Look, as a non-Chiefs fan, I'm going to put the kicker curse on Butker. All right?
Oh, I'm putting all the curses on Butker.
I think he's going to...
You're going to hit every... Harrison Butker.
I think he's going to go 5 for 5.
Harrison Butker, look at me. You're going to hit every field goal. Patrick Mahomes, look at me. You're not throwing a single interception. You're going to have a perfect passer rating. There we go.
It's going to be an electric game.
The Niners are going to win now.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's talk halftime. This is something that a lot of people only watch the Super Bowl to watch the halftime show, which is astounding to me.
Which is not something. Look, I have the schedule of what we're going to talk about today, and we're not talking about commercials, but just a quick shout out: Super Bowl commercials, pretty damn awesome. I'm kind of looking forward to them. And I think that
we grew up in the golden age of Super Bowl commercials. Between the years of my first Super Bowl I watched was the one where the Patriots lost to the Giants the second time. So 2011 was my first Super Bowl. 2011 to 2018, I think, was the golden age for Super Bowl commercials. And since then,
could be.
I think it's been really bad. And here's why.
Wow.
Super Bowl commercials were very like popular and like very interesting because we saw celebrities in Super Bowl commercials, but only in Super
Well,
Bowl commercials. They were never really anywhere else when we were growing up. Now,
okay.
if you look at like any given day commercial, there's celebrities doing ads for Wendy's or ads for like you see Travis Kelce doing Pfizer. Like you see celebrities all over the place now. So it takes that spark away from the Super Bowl ads, which is why
Yeah.
I think that they've gone downhill since the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
So you're saying the aura of it is less so um there because the celebrities are more so integrated into the life of the commercial every day.
I
Like
agree.
seeing Ryan Reynolds after watching 50 Mint Mobile commercials in the
Right,
Super Bowl
right.
probably won't be as cool. I agree.
Agreed.
But then you get stuff like Puppy Monkey Baby. Remember that?
Puppy Monkey Baby
And
was in the golden era. We haven't
yeah,
seen a
and you're
Puppy
like
Monkey Baby since.
and you're like, that is awful. But man, is it going to make me want to buy a Mountain Dew Kickstart? And that's what I'm kind of looking for,
And I did.
right?
I bought a lot of them.
That's not good for your health. But yeah, I mean, look, in a Super Bowl like this one where I'm like not super excited about either teams, I'm honestly going to be looking for some good commercials out there.
I hope
Push back
that
on
this
you.
year is the renaissance for Super Bowl commercials because I've been
I do
very
too.
disappointed the last couple seasons.
I liked the Breaking Bad ones last year.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl 51, remember that one where they were all at the wedding?
Yep.
That was a
good one.
commercial.
That was a good one right in the
So,
prime of the golden era.
I mean, I believe in the Super Bowl commercial. I believe in the fact that these companies are going to put out their best effort, and I really hope that we get some good ones this year. But back to your question, we were talking about something else. Halftime show, yeah.
So we're gonna talk halftime. A lot of people watch the show, or I'm sorry, not the show. Watch the Super Bowl just for the halftime show, which to me is absolutely heinous. But nonetheless,
Okay.
those people are part of our audience as well. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk about the performance, which is Usher. And before we get too far into it, Alex, what was your thought about Usher being named the Super Bowl halftime show?
I think the way that you just said that Super Bowl ads have kind of lost their like luster a little bit. I think the same can be said for the halftime show. I think that we grew up in some of them. We had some golden age shows these past couple of years, and I think that this Usher one's going to be a bit of a down year. I don't know if Usher is going to bring the amount of viewers or fans that Rihanna brought last year or 2 years ago with the rap one, or what was the last really great Super Bowl show you watched?
I thought that Coldplay and Beyonce was great, but they had a really
Yeah, I thought it was
random
fine.
cameo from Big Boy from Outkast, which was a little weird.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I will say
thought,
the worst one in recent years was The Weeknd. I thought his halftime show
yeah,
was
his was
horrible.
bad, but that was a tough one because it was the COVID year. No,
It was the COVID year, but that doesn't mean that it
doesn't
wasn't
excuse the bad
Yeah, it
performance.
was still
It's true.
bad.
I don't know. I thought the Katy Perry one on rewatch is pretty good. The Lady Gaga one, of course, I thought was good. I just don't see this
Bruno
one
Mars
being
was
great.
very good.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't see this one being great. I really don't. That being said, I'm gonna watch it. I don't know Usher music like that. He's a little bit before my time, I would say. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
So maybe for some generation of people, this is a really big deal. But I feel like, for my generation, we were more excited about Rihanna going or Beyonce going or Coldplay going or someone like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with like the relevance at the time, right? So when you look back on those years, Bruno Mars had just released the album with the gorilla on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Jukebox
Unorthodox Jukebox,
Unorthodox
which was his
Jukebox,
biggest
Jesus.
album. He had just released that. And Katy Perry had just released her album with Roar on it, or whatever that was called. So
Yeah.
the artists that they were choosing from the period that like we remember so fondly, we remember because they were so culturally relevant at the time, right? So now they bring in Usher, who's hasn't been really all that culturally relevant. That's a very hard word for me to pronounce for some reason. Culturally relevant in years, and they expect to have the same turnout. I just don't think that's true. I think that if Rihanna, she killed last year, I thought, but if she had gone,
I agree.
If she had gone maybe 6 or 7 years ago, it would have been that much better. I thought that they did Shakira and Jennifer Lopez 10 to 15 years too late. So I
I
think that it
agree,
has a
but
lot to do with the timing, right? So like if they had brought in who could they have brought in this year? I mean, obviously besides Taylor Swift, to have brought in like the same amount of pull as those people
mhm,
from the shows back then. I don't really know if there is
yeah,
a person.
yeah, possibly. I agree, but I also think that the best case scenario, um, for a guy like Usher is to have a performance like that Shakira and Jennifer Lopez performance. You know, because people really, I think after that performance, people were energized to listen to their music again, and you know, I think that that is probably the best case scenario for Usher during this performance because like for most of us, for like our generation, the only real Usher song that we really know that well is "Yeah,"
I was a pretty big Usher
right?
guy.
You were you?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I had all of his songs, but I knew more than one.
I think people knew DJ Got Us Fallen in Love like
Yeah.
more from the Minecraft parody than they did from the actual song when it comes to like us. But you know, look, he's got songs like My Boo and like stuff like that that popped off on TikTok. So like maybe this is a big year for him. Maybe it's a comeback year. Maybe he drops an album after it. That'd be pretty sick. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how this one goes, honestly, because I'm not entirely sure how this one's gonna go. I
Me
think the
neither.
more important I think the more important question when it comes to this is do you think there's going to be guest stars?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this, and I think that there will be guest star. I think that there will be at least one,
You
because
think there'll be one?
if you think that in the past few years we we have seen a guest star come out almost every year for the past 10 years,
Right.
almost,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
I think that there will be one for sure. But the
Okay.
question that we wrote down in our pre-show notes is: will there be over or under 1.5? And
Yeah.
I think that there will be over 1.5 guest
Guest
stars brought
stars.
out.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about the song that they're beginning with next. I don't think that he'll begin with this song. I think that for Yeah, he will bring out Lil Jon and Ludacris, and they will have all three guys there because that is his most known song by far.
I agree.
So to
I
answer both
agree.
of those questions, yes, I think it'll go over. I don't think that they will begin with Yeah. I think that those will be the two guests that he brings out.
I think he will have one guest star. I don't think he'll have two. I think he'll bring out Lil Jon. I don't know if he'll bring out Ludacris because normally you don't see artists do the full song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl halftime show. So I think that if you're going to do Yeah, you need to have Lil Jon there. But I think you could cut out Ludacris's part and it would still get the, you know, still get the crowd into it very much so. Um, I wouldn't be surprised. Do you want to just move into what song you think he's going to open with? Because I
Yeah.
think this leads
Let's do that.
perfectly into that. I think that there will be one guest star. I think it will be Lil Jon. And I think that they will start with a bang by playing Yeah. Because I think it's either the first song they play or the last song they play.
So I think that another person who could come out, maybe they do just bring out Lil Jon. Maybe they bring out Pitbull for DJ Got Us Fallen in Love again. Another person who
Okay.
has a ton of relevance for like
Yep.
those past years, but has never had a Super Bowl show. So I could
Has he
see
never
that.
been at the Super Bowl?
I don't think he's been a Super Bowl. Um, let's
I
look it
thought
up
he
real
went
quick.
to one.
Ever performed at the Super Bowl? No, he's never performed at a halftime show.
Really?
So I think that the first song that they will play is "Oh My God" with Will I Am.
Okay.
Imagine like the lights go off and they're like, "Oh, oh, 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 oh,
Oh,
oh, oh my
oh
God,"
my God.
right?
Yeah, that'd be
I
sick.
could see that being the opening song. So that's what I'm gonna go with. "Oh My God, Will I Am." First song that gets played by Usher. Lock that in.
All right. I'm going to take Yeah. I think they come out with a bang. They play Yeah. They get the crowd into it. That's the song that everybody is really there to see, in my opinion. And, you know, you get out and then you do some of your slower stuff. And yeah, you have a great halftime show. That I think that's what we're hoping for is just to have a really good halftime show. Like you never want to come out of the halftime show being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we have to watch another half of football now." You want to be
Yeah,
like, "Man, that was energizing. Like, let's go watch another half of football now." Like, That's what I'm looking for here.
Agreed. All right. That's all I've got for. Right? I believe that's all we have for.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
for
I'm sorry. I'm
props,
sorry.
yeah.
I forgot the most important one. How could I have forgotten
Sorry,
the most
yeah.
important one?
No, go ahead.
After the winner of the Super Bowl is crowned champion.
I can't believe you almost moved right.
You forgot about
right
it too.
This. No. You were.
You forgot
You're
about
doing
it.
the segment, and you just.
How did we forget about this?
All right.
We
all
talked
right.
about this on the show last time. The most
Yeah, we did.
important Super Bowl prop. Which color Gatorade will be dumped on the coach?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to let you go first.
I'm thinking about this strategically. All right. Look, I think that the right way to look at this is you got two teams with red uniforms. One will be wearing white, one will be wearing red. What color will look good on those uniforms? That's the question you got to ask yourself. I think the safe play right now is to say that it would be red Gatorade. Now, I'm not a safe player. I don't play it safe. I don't do it like that. I don't remember what the color was last year. I think it was blue. Was it blue last year?
It was grape.
It was grape.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's not going to be grape again because nobody likes grape Gatorade enough to have it 2 years in a row. And it is because of that I think what would look good on a white jersey versus a red jersey. And I think, maybe orange. Maybe orange could be the choice that they're going for. It's possible. It's possible. I mean, it's probably people's. I would say it's one of the favorite flavors of Gatorade out there.
I despise orange.
Really?
I despise it. I think that it's horrible. And it leaves
just for that, I'm taking orange. It's going to be orange.
It leaves that phlegm in the back of your throat. But I was also favoring orange heavily. Big time. Now, here's the question.
Don't pander to the audience, though.
I'm not pandering at all. I'm not pandering. The Chiefs will be in white for the first time. It's not the first time they've ever been in white. It's the second, I believe. But they will be in white for this Super Bowl. The 49ers will be in red. I agree. The favorites to go with red. People, just like the general public's favorite color is blue. I'm going to take neither of those. I'm going to kind of come out of left field here. I think that they go with the white flavor. I think the white flavor of Gatorade, Glacier Cherry, my personal
Glacier
favorite.
Cherry gets the nod.
I think that Glacier Cherry gets dumped on either Kyle Shanahan or Andy Reid.
So you think either way they're going to go with Glacier Cherry? You're not thinking about this one way or the other?
No, I think it's Glacier Cherry.
Glacier Cherry all the way.
Think about it. Niners wear red uniforms. Their numbers are white. Chiefs wear white uniforms. Their numbers are red. It works either way. They'd put it in both ones. They'd put the Gatorade in both ones.
I agree. I think it's too niche of a flavor.
I think it's been done before.
It's not a classic.
I think it's been done before.
I would be surprised if we see Glacier Cherry out there, but look, I don't think either of us got the Gatorade flavor correct last year. I don't think anyone really did. Picking grape is just a crazy choice by Andy Reid and the boys. But because of Jack's disdain,
I think Andy Reid said, "We don't drink Gatorade on the sideline. We drink only water. I'm going to put the most disgusting Gatorade flavor in the
whatever the worst one is, yeah,
in the cooler, so no one will drink that shit." And that's what we did.
All right. But because of Jack's disdain for orange Gatorade, I'm going to throw it in there. Look, I think that orange has a really good shout this year, and I look forward every year to seeing what the Gatorade flavor will be.
All right. So that's it for prop bets. Now, I think it's time we talk about the actual game. We've spent a half hour talking about prop bets.
Yeah, talking about the dumb stuff. Which
maybe
is kind of
no one's listening anymore, but I think that more people are interested in the prop bets this year than they are in the actual game.
I know I am. I definitely am.
Personally, I was a guy who wanted to see the two teams that lost last week or 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely.
Make it into the, as I know you did too. Ravens-Lions Super Bowl would have been one for the ages.
Would have been electric.
However,
unfortunately,
we're seeing Niners versus Chiefs again. Second time in 4 seasons, 5 seasons.
5 seasons.
So let's talk about the storylines. Obviously, everyone knows about Taylor Swift, and I have no personal issue with Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I think that before, leading up to 1989 and prior, it's like banger after banger after banger. Like,
Okay.
I
And
have no
1989
problem.
is where you
The
draw the
new
line.
music is where you lose me a little bit, just a little bit. But old Taylor Swift, a lot of heaters, a lot of, and that's not really arguable.
And I know bangers.
And I know bangers. I don't think that I think that she gets a bad rap. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
people get upset
I
and
agree.
blame it on her. She's not on the field. She's not being like, put the cameras on me.
Yep.
But since she has such a great pull, of course, I think it's the NFL taking advantage of her audience. And it's working.
Certainly.
But I think that she's genuinely there supporting Travis Kelce in the box, doing just what any other NFL fan would do if their significant other was in the Super Bowl. So
Agreed.
I don't really give her any hate, and I think that it's going to be a huge conversation. I think she's going to get shown way too many times, more times than she would
Probably.
like to.
Yep.
However,
Yeah, because I don't even think that she loves the attention that she
I don't
gets
think
from
she
this.
does. I think that she genuinely wants to go and watch the game.
Right.
But that's a storyline. I don't think we're going to get too into that because everyone's kind of, it's like, you're beating the same drum over and over again. Like, everyone's kind of,
Right.
It's a broken record. So
Right.
let's move on.
Okay.
I think that a big part of the Super Bowl, which is mainly why I'm rooting against the Chiefs so much, is because if Patrick Mahomes gets his third championship in 5 years, we're going to hear a lot about the GOAT conversation, and it's not necessarily wrong.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes has been in the league his first year was 2018, which means that this is his 6th year in the NFL. This would be his 3rd Super Bowl win. So he's on pace. If he would win this, he would be on pace to have more rings than Tom Brady. He's already on pace to have more or just as many Super Bowl appearances as Tom Brady. So the GOAT conversation is going to be incredibly prominent.
I agree.
I'm not really here for it.
Nope. Me
I
either.
think that you have to win. I think you have to get to 5 before you even start talking about the GOAT conversation. And who knows how long that'll take. Could be 2 years. It could be never. So I'm not really going to entertain that thought until he gets there. And we're going to keep talking about it every year, but I just don't think it's true. So the part to me that makes a lot more sense to talk about is the dynasty run that they've had. So with the Patriots, they were good. They were very dominant for 20 years. We saw them have 2 distinct dynasties where they were going to Super Bowls. And that would be 2000 to 2004, in which they won 3. And it would also be 2014 to 2018, in which they won 3 as well. So the Chiefs actually do fit right into those 2 teams in terms of numbers. The Chiefs they've hosted 5 AFC championships, went on the road for 1, and they've been in the Super Bowl 4 times in the past 5 years. The last team to go to the Super Bowl 4 years out of 5 was the Patriots when they went the second time between 2014 and 2018. So that argument is completely valid.
This makes the Chiefs the 3rd team to go to 4 straight Super Bowls, I think. Or the 2nd team to go to 4 straight Super Bowls.
It's not 4 straight. It's 4 out of 5 years.
4 out of 5 years. It's the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Bills.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
And the Bills are the only team to go to 4 straight. Obviously, they won none of them. And they lost all 4. And they will probably be the only team to ever do that.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing.
All Bills fans just shut the podcast off. But so I don't think that we're ready to have the Mahomes conversation yet.
Yeah.
In terms of being the greatest. I think that we're at the point now where, especially if they win, that this Chiefs dynasty is up there with the best that we've ever seen in the NFL.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Do you have a thought to add to that before I move on?
No, I think you're right on the money there. I think that the discussion of talking about the greatest quarterback of all time is really difficult coming from a Patriot fan perspective, because of course we're always going to favor Tom Brady in that discussion. And the argument now, imagine if Patrick Mahomes does get eventually 7 Super Bowls, which is a lot over the course of a career, and you have to be incredible and have a lot of longevity and break a lot of records in order to do that. The only asterisk being that he lost to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, I guess. But that being said, like, it's still an interesting conversation to have. I think this year especially, most people were expecting this Chiefs team to not be Super Bowl contenders because of their wide receiver core and the fact that they don't have a clear number one wide receiver aside from a guy like Travis Kelce. Um, and the fact that they're even in the Super Bowl and in contention right now, I mean, in contention as in like they're in the Super Bowl, they're I think they're favored to win.
No,
They're not.
they're like 2.5 point dogs.
Interesting.
I'll
don't
check
like
that right
that.
now while you finish.
But we'll get to that in a minute. I don't like that. But that being said, like the fact that they have made this run is kind of commendable to the fact that they've been fantastically coached by Andy Reid for a very long period of time and the amount of wins they've gotten over that period of time. Even though, their offense was not nearly as explosive this year as it was in years past, they improved their defense significantly and it got them back to where they want to be. So I think that when you talk about the great dynasties that we have seen, especially if they get this win, you have to put them in that conversation.
Right. So the part where they remind me of the old Patriots dynasties is the fact that at the beginning of the season they lost. Their week 1 they had a shootout with the Lions, just barely escaped. Right. Week,
yep.
2, 3, 4, people were talking about them not being the team that they used to be, and people were like, "How are they going to figure it out?" Especially after the Kadarius Toney situation, people were like, "They're dropping everything. They have no wide receivers. There's no chance they make it back."
Right.
Well, look at them again in the Super Bowl. That's the part that reminds me of the Patriots, because the Patriots, especially in those Deflategate seasons, especially throughout all of that, it was a matter of they're not the same team that they used to be. They won't be able to make it back. And then we did over and over again. I say we like we were on the team. You know what I mean?
Overcoming public opinion. Like there is, of course,
Correct.
the Max Kellerman. There's going to be a fall off the cliff for Tom Brady that never really came, and all that type of debate.
So that part is what reminds me so much of this dynasty conversation. So again, congratulations to the Chiefs for getting there. Let's talk about the actual game. I am rooting wholeheartedly against the Chiefs, not only because I'm just sick of watching them win, but I really think that a lot of the guys on this Niners team deserve to get one. Not only do I think that they deserve to get one, I think that they're very upset about how the last Super Bowl went. And besides Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, a lot of these guys that make up the core of this 49ers team were there when they lost to the Chiefs, however many years ago it was, 2020, winter of 2020. And I think that they're carrying that like emotion of, wow, we really hate this team. Like, we lost last time. We know what it's going to take to win. We're going to go out there and do it. And I think that they're going to go out there and do it. So when you say you don't like the -2, I like the -2. I think it's going to be a very close game, back and forth. And I think it's going to be a little more low scoring than people think. I think it'll be something like 23-20 or like one of those scores that has the 49ers being dubbed as champions. But for me, I think that the Niners will win. I will be rooting for them with all 206 bones in my body. And yeah, lock it in, 49ers.
I agree. Look, well, I don't agree, actually. Here's what I do agree with. I am going to be rooting for the 49ers in this game. There are too many storylines on that team that I support. The fact that Brock Purdy was the last pick in the NFL draft 2 years ago and has now went from Mr. Irrelevant to a Super Bowl leading quarterback. The fact that a guy like Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, just got snubbed for the league MVP, which I think is another conversation that we could talk about, is the fact that every single MVP or honor or award nowadays, aside from Defensive Player of the Year, is a quarterback award. And the fact that he had a historic season at running back for the 49ers and still did not get nearly the amount of votes that I thought he should have gotten. I thought that he was a better football player this year than Lamar Jackson. Either way, kudos to Lamar for winning his second MVP. So I think that they're coming into this game with a bit of a chip on their shoulder, which I think is a good thing. I don't like them being favorites. I really don't like them being favorites. I think that
their fans are going to travel a lot better than the Chiefs fans will, because San Francisco is very close to Las Vegas.
Yeah, but like, it's so incredibly hard to bet against this Kansas City Chiefs team and Patrick Mahomes. And I think that what we've seen throughout this playoffs is you've continually done so, and I have continually not done so. And every time I bet with the Chiefs, I'm like, I really hope they don't win, but for the sake of who I think is going to win, I have to pick the Chiefs. It's kind of how I feel about this game.
I'm
I
never
mean,
going to stop betting against the Chiefs.
I don't think the Niners looked great in their NFC Championship game win, aside from that second half where they made that massive comeback. But like, I don't see them winning this game. I really don't. I think that the Chiefs will come out of it with another victory.
Here's
which
where
sucks.
here's where I agree with you. If the 49ers go down 17-0 to the Chiefs, there's not a chance in hell that they make that comeback.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs started last game very well. But then in the second half, and this has kind of been their story through Miami, it happened in Buffalo, it happened in Baltimore, but not to a full extent.
Well, yeah, the Baltimore game was just kind of messy start to finish, I think, from both teams.
The Chiefs start out very well and start to teeter throughout the game. I don't know if you remember, they had 5 straight punts in the second half. I don't think they scored a point in the whole second half against the Ravens.
Okay.
So the 49ers have to come out strong and just outlast that first half, because the Chiefs will be throwing darts in the first half. It'll be score, score, score. They probably won't punt in the first half, if that was my guess.
Yep.
The 49ers have to be able to keep up with that throughout the first half and then make those defensive decisions that they have the personnel to make, like those adjustments in game, in order to figure out what the Chiefs are doing. And if they do so, then they will win this game. If they fail to do so, the Chiefs will have their 3rd Super Bowl.
Okay. Look, I'm going to take the Chiefs here in this game. I just don't see them losing. I don't see them losing. They every time everybody's like, "Oh, this is the game for blank team to overcome the Chiefs and prove that they can finally beat them this season." They have lost. You saw it with the Bills, you saw it with the Ravens, and now I think you're going to see it again with the Niners. I think Andy Reid is a better coach than Kyle Shanahan. I think they're both very good, very elite at their jobs. And I think that this is going to be more of a defensive matchup than people are expecting, which I agree with you on. I think it will be more low scoring than people think. But I do think that the Chiefs will grind out and find a way to win this game.
Yeah, a lot more rushing than people think, too. I think that it'll be a battle between Pacheco and McCaffrey for sure.
There's also going to be a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy, I think, from the Chiefs side. They're going to blitz the rookie, not the rookie, but like.
And I think that he'll make a mistake, maybe 2, throw some interceptions, and it's not a team that you want to do that against. So I think that the Niners are going to heavily try and rely on their run game, whether that be through McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel. But
yeah, I think winning the turnover battle is going to be huge for either team in this game.
Agreed.
Either team. But that being said, I'm going to roll with the Chiefs plus 2.5, and you're going to roll with the Niners minus 2.5.
I'm taking the Niners.
All right.
Let's move on past the Super Bowl. Hopefully it'll be a great game. Hopefully the refs will keep the flags in their pockets and let the boys play.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
But let's move away from the NFL, and let's move into the NBA, because this was a huge week in the NBA as well. Tons of teams moving players. Not really any star power, and a lot of fans were disappointed by that. But there weren't really that many stars that were going to be shopped around anyways. So
I think that's true.
But a lot of really important role players moved, and I think that is what's going to take some teams up and move some other teams down. And I don't know if you can get much further down than the teams that we're talking about, but there are definitely some teams that have taken their squad to the next level from where they were. And it'll definitely be an exciting NBA stretch from here on out, which is why I'm excited. It's a little bittersweet. I'm sad that football's ending, but I'm very excited that we're going to pay more and more attention to the NBA in these next coming days, because there's going to be so much going on with all of these teams. So, of course, I'm talking about the trade deadline. I should have specified that earlier. And Alex.
No, that's fine.
Talk to me about who you think was like the winner and the loser of this trade deadline, because a lot happened. And what was the biggest move for you? Let's go one by one. We'll trade.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think what you just said was pretty accurate. I mean, there weren't a lot of massive trades out there. There were some trades that, maybe moved the needle a little bit for some teams, but most of them were just roster clearance and stuff like that. And a lot of the mock trades that you saw for stars didn't actually end up happening. But that being said, I think the biggest winner out of the deadline is probably the New York Knicks. You add a guy like Bojan Bogdanovic, who's averaging like 16 points a game on a
He's averaging
bad Pistons team.
20 points a game.
20 points. 20 points a game on a Pistons team that, in all honesty, is atrocious. But he's a solid role player and has been in the NBA for many years. You also add Alex Burks, and you didn't really give that much up to get these guys.
They managed to not give up a single first-round pick.
Also true. You gave up Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, and Ryan Arcidiacono, as well as 2 second-round picks. But like getting these 2 players for not having a single first-round pick is pretty commendable.
Well, and it's not just the 2. People are forgetting that the OG Anunoby deal is technically part of a mid-season roster change, as it was only, a month and a half ago?
Yeah. So, I mean, their front office has been making fantastic moves. And, they've looked great since the OG Anunoby trade. Like, they really have looked good. And I think adding some more bench depth with Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks will continue to propel them probably past the 76ers in the Eastern Conference. And, they're looking more and more dangerous, more and more like a contending team as the years go on. So for me, they're probably the biggest winner. And I think that the Bojan Bogdanovic trade is probably the biggest trade that we've seen in the NBA, like in the deadline thus far.
Yeah, so for me, I think that you have to look at the roster construction of championship teams from the past few seasons. So since like the Raptors, you'll say like there's been a 1 option, there's been a 2 option, and then there's been a 3rd option.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the Warriors, it's Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, even you could say Jordan Poole being that 3rd, especially in that series against the Celtics. If you look at last season, Jokic 1, Murray 2, Michael Porter Jr. 3. They have those 3 guys. They have Jalen Brunson, who's an all-star this year. I think he's been snubbed the past 2 years. And then they also have Julius Randle as that 2 option. Right? All-star the past 3 years, All-NBA the past 2 seasons. So now when you add a guy like Bogdanovic, who's averaging 20 points a game in the NBA, regardless of what team he's on, it's a significant 3rd option that you're bringing in.
Agreed.
And then they also have the depth beyond that. DiVincenzo has been incredible, especially over the past week. Isaiah Hartenstein, who's not their starting center. Once they get OG Anunoby back, he fits into the starting lineup. Once they get Mitchell Robinson back, he fits into the starting lineup. This team is 10 players deep, easily, with a fantastic starting 5 top to bottom. This New York Knicks team, don't be surprised if they finish top 3, if not top 2 in the Eastern Conference, which is a division that besides the Celtics at 1, that seeding is wide open. And the Celtics could drop a couple games. So this Eastern Conference, like the way that we're looking at the standings now with Cavs in 2, Bucks in 3, Sixers in 4, that's not going to stay, especially if Embiid misses considerable time with his injury. This Knicks team could potentially find themselves in a top 3, if not top 2 seeding.
Yeah, so right now they're sitting at number 4. They have surpassed the 76ers. I don't know why I said they didn't a minute ago. But they're actually tied with the Bucks for 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. I think since making the fire of Adrian Griffin and the hire of Doc Rivers, this Bucks team has been bad.
Well, they're 1-5 since they hired him.
Yeah, which is not good. Or not where you want to be. But then again, I mean, it does take some time to adjust to a new coach and a new system, and we understand that. But that being said, maybe forcing Adrian Griffin out that early probably wasn't the best decision for them. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see this Knicks team leapfrog the Bucks and then possibly the Cavs, who were sitting at the 2 seed in the East. But I don't think they're nearly as strong as this New York Knicks team is.
I agree. I think this Cavs team is not here to stay. I understand that they don't even have all their pieces yet. So yeah, they haven't reached their full potential. But I think that the Cavs will finish around 4. I think that the 76ers are going to be atrocious without Joel Embiid. Seriously.
I mean, Maxi's really good, but yes, it's going to be a struggle.
He's not the most reliable number 1 option yet in this league without Embiid. Not because he's not a great player, but because their games they work interchangeably very well with one another. Embiid and Maxey, that is. So if it's what's the opposite of a parasitic relationship? Homogenous?
Parasitic? Yeah.
Homogenous? So they're a
Yeah.
very homogenous relationship. So once one of them's gone, the other one doesn't really play as well, which you can say
Okay.
around a lot of the league.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
I think the
But then
76ers are
again,
going to be very bad without Joel Embiid. I think that you could see
okay.
the Pacers pass them. I think you'll see the Knicks stay above them. I think the Bucks will stay above them. And obviously, I have the Celtics at 1.
All right. But either way, I think the Knicks are a definite winner of the trade deadline this year and have been making great front office moves all season, it feels like.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see
Another winner from the trade deadline is the Dallas Mavericks. And
Mhm.
here's why, Alex. If you think of why the Mavericks haven't been able to go from that mediocre, Western Conference semifinals, Western Conference finals team to that championship level team, what have they been missing?
Bigs.
A big. So they bring in a guy like Daniel Gafford, who to me flies under the radar as like a veteran center in this league, but he's not really a veteran. He's still young, but he's had a lot of experience. He's
Yep.
also a guy that is bringing in 10 points per game, 11 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks.
Mhm.
He's that centerpiece that they're missing. And with a guy like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, they're going to bring out his full potential, which was not seen in Washington. Also, you're giving up Grant Williams, who's obviously, don't get me wrong, Grant's my guy. I love him.
Huge Grant Williams fans.
I bought a
around
Grant
here.
Williams jersey. I'm the only person in the world with a Grant Williams jersey. His game is very one-dimensional. He sits in the corner and he grabs the ball, and when he doesn't grab the ball, he swings it through and just drives, and that's all he can do. Bringing in PJ
Yeah.
Washington is a guy who's a multi-level scorer. He can shoot, he can rebound, he can, get buckets in the paint.
Mhm.
That's something that's going to heavily lead to the development of this team, right? So if Daniel Gafford takes that starting spot from Derek Lively, who's been great but is always an injury question,
Agreed.
this starting lineup goes from having holes at that big man position to filling in those holes, having scores at 1 through 5, which is huge for any team in the NBA, and then having guys coming off the bench like Derek Lively, Josh Green, Derek Jones, Dante Exum. This is another roster that just became infinitely deeper, and especially since the progression of these guys have been so great throughout the season already.
Mhm.
The Mavericks are a team that's going to make that jump from where they are right now in the West, which is 8th, to maybe 4, 3. I think that they're going to be in that conversation with the top teams in the West, and had they not made these moves, they would have been a play-in team for sure. But now I think that they guarantee themselves in that middle playoff spot positioning in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I think the West is there's a lot of parity in the West nowadays. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, you see a team like the Mavericks get to that middle of the West area with these moves. And I think you're exactly right when you say that they needed more of a big man presence, because having a guy like, I don't know, Dwight Powell as your starting center is not sustainable. It's just not.
And
So
Maxi
hopefully
Kleber?
these bigs, yeah, hopefully these, I mean, like, I don't know. Derek Lively was playing well to start the year. He's battled some injuries now, but like I think that there is a ceiling for this team. I don't see them being a championship level team this year, but I mean, I think that these bigs do make them a lot more dangerous going forward. So I think they definitely won at the trade deadline by not giving up any pieces that I think are necessary for them to win. And I don't think they gave up any first round picks either, which is big.
I think this Western Conference as a whole is very competitive, which we'll get into after our final winner. Do you want to introduce that one? Or I'll introduce it because you put this one down on the list. I didn't think that this moved the needle all that much, but talk to me about the OKC Thunder and why. Plead your case as to why they're winners at this trade deadline.
Look, I think that the addition of Gordon Hayward, who is a 15 points per game scorer off the bench for a bad Charlotte Hornets team, but then again, 15 points a game in the NBA is a lot of points, adds adds not only depth to them, but I think it also adds a veteran presence. I mean, he's been a winner. He's been an all-star multiple times. He's been on many winning teams. And I mean, of course, you have his history with the Celtics and whatnot. But that being said, like the addition of him for practically nothing. Like you got off Davis Bertans' contract, a guy that wasn't playing on your team, who's making $17 million a year, along with Trey Mann, who was a two-way player for you, also making only like $3 million, is pretty good. The only issue is that you're going to add a contract like Gordon Hayward's to your roster, which could be a problem come later years, but he only has one more year left on his deal. So I think that you add a veteran piece to this team that you could maybe get back for a veteran minimum or something like that come the next couple of years if you look to extend him. And I think that he's somebody who can, seems like a good locker room guy and could be a veteran presence that this team desperately lacks because they are a very young team thus far.
Right. The oldest guy on this team looking top to bottom is Lou Dort, who's been there for years. But I think
he also played 4 years of college basketball. He's not an NBA veteran.
Correct.
Like he's just a bit older than some of the other guys.
So I think that the biggest part about this Hayward move, and at first I was like, did it really move the needle that much? But then I started thinking about it and the points that you were making. And yes, I agree. I think that this is a huge move for them. And mainly because if you look at this Thunder team in close games throughout the season, they haven't been great. Like their record hasn't been great. And that's like understandable and expected for a team full of guys who have no experience in those moments, especially a team that has been losing so much in the past 2 seasons. Like they haven't really been in a position where they're in close games very often, which is why they've lost so many of them. But you bring in a guy like Gordon Hayward, who's going to find himself on the court always. If you're a great 3-point shooter, you're always going to be on the court in those end of game scenarios. And he's been in dozens of them throughout his career. He's a guy who can bring some veteran leadership and just that sense of patience and calmness in those end of game situations that can be so hectic, which is what he did for the Celtics with that team. And it's what he's done. I mean, the Hornets have never been in close games in their entire franchise history, but he has been that veteran leadership presence in close games throughout his whole career. And I think that that's what the Thunder are bringing him in to do.
I also think that you got him for nothing. Like
I agree with that entirely. I think that you benefit off of what you gave up.
Right. I agree.
I don't know what the Hornets got from this deal.
Yeah, I don't really see it. I think it may be the fact that they got off his contract, but then again, you're bringing in a guy like Bertans who has a pretty hefty contract himself. So
and
maybe
that's a good transition into the losers of this move because you're also bringing in Grant Williams, who signed a gigantic contract with the Mavericks this offseason, and Seth Curry, who's arguably being paid too much for a guy who's that old and that. I mean, I'm not going to call him like useless. He's not useless, but he doesn't fit into any role, especially on a team that's the Hornets. So what are you accomplishing by signing these 3 guys with gigantic contracts?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
they're our first loser, and you also gave up PJ Washington,
who was one of your brightest spots on your roster this year. A team that has looked really bad, really bad,
really bad, very disappointing.
Yep.
So another loser.
LaMelo hasn't played a lot, but
right.
I think you can't really excuse the way that they played thus far.
And you sold Terry Rozier for Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Same contract, much older. What are you trying to accomplish?
I don't know what they're trying to do. I really don't know what they're trying to do. But that being said, I don't think they're a big loser because I don't think that this changed it. That doesn't move the needle for them at all. Like they don't get any worse. You can't get worse.
Well, I think that you could say the same for
to tank.
You could say the same for our next loser, which is the Chicago Bulls. They're a team that we thought were going to be big sellers. We thought that they were going to be huge sellers at the deadline.
So
they weren't even mentioned in trade talks at all. Yep. They didn't get better. They didn't get worse. They just stayed the same, and that's what's making them such a big loser.
Yeah, I think for this team they had to make a move though. Like the Hornets could have done nothing and still been fine. Like they would have not been good. They would have got a high draft pick, maybe a build for next year. You got guys like LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and hopefully you bring in a high draft pick with some upside in the 2024 class. This Chicago Bulls team did nothing. Nothing with 2 massive contracts, 2 former All-Stars and Zach LaVine, or 3 former All-Stars. You had Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic.
Well, technically Andre Drummond, if we're going to talk about All-Stars.
Drummond too. You move none of them. You don't get any better. Zach LaVine is out for the season, so your chances of making the playoffs are now dwindling as well. Even making the
They're
play.
zero. Their chances of
Yeah.
making the play-in are incredibly low.
So, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get the decision making. I don't think that they got what they were looking for. But I think at the same time, you have to move on from some of these contracts if you're the Chicago Bulls and you're looking to be successful in the years to come.
If I'm the Bulls and I'm seeing that this big three isn't going anywhere, but the only bright spot that they have on their team this entire season is Kobe White. He's been great,
Yeah.
and he's developed
Yep.
incredibly this season.
Yep.
At what point do you just sell heavy? At what point do you sell every asset that you own and restart and build around a guy who's young, not on an expensive contract, but on his second deal, and performing incredibly well? I just don't understand it.
I agree. I also think that you didn't move Patrick Williams, who is a guy who seems like he's going to be a headache when it comes to contract issues. And look, I just think that you're going to have some problems going forward if you're the Chicago Bulls team and you had to move players at the deadline. And the fact that you didn't is really unfortunate for them.
So let's talk about the next loser. A team that has historically been very good at the deadline, made those moves that took them from being a mediocre team to a Western Conference championship contender.
Yep.
The Los Angeles Lakers literally did not make a single move. And I understand that they were in some really big trade talks, which have to do with another one of our losers.
Yep.
But for a team that's so disappointing, finding themselves in 9th place in the Western Conference, with the assets to make big moves, how does nothing come out of it? They are the biggest loser from this trade deadline.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with you. Look, I think that the fact that there was LeBron trade talks was kind of shocking to everybody when that came out, and then it was debunked. But that would have been pretty sick to see LeBron get traded at the deadline. That would have been cool. But I agree with you. I think that not making a move at the deadline for this Lakers team is really detrimental. That being said, when they get the 8th seed, I'm still going to pick them to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. Still. But
really,
that's just because I'm a believer in LeBron James in the playoffs. But yeah, I think that this is a Lakers team that their coaches lost the locker room. I don't think that they respond well to Darvin Ham. I think that they have failed on all fronts to become better. I think that they're going in a worse direction. I think that Anthony Davis and LeBron James are both clearly out of their primes at this point, and they haven't focused on development, which is something that they should have been doing, but they've traded a lot of players in order to get them that championship in 2020, 2021. So you kind of sold the soul of, your future for a ring, which is fair. They got the win, they got the championship banner, number 17, and then you won the in-season tournament, which is the last time that I think this Lakers team has looked any good.
Last time that they've even looked competent as a basketball team. Although they did take down our Celtics last week without
correct
LeBron or AD. That's a fluke win.
And AK-47 played great, but
AR-15.
Yeah.
Wrong gun.
AR-15
wrong gun player nickname.
Great. AR-15 played great.
Anthony Davis he's done very well in terms of staying on the court. He's played before he got hurt. He played in 73 of the last 75 games, which is something that he was harped on a lot for throughout his career.
Agreed.
But now he's injured again. LeBron's been questionable every night for the past 2 months.
He's 40.
Yeah.
He's 40 years old.
At what point? I understand, but if you have a team that has the best player of all time, which is hard to argue at this point, the best player of all time, how are you still in 9th in the Western Conference? Their roster construction is so bad. And that's going to directly segue me into my next point. The next loser was the Atlanta Hawks, whose only goal this entire deadline was to sell DeJounte Murray. They didn't do that. And here's why. Right. Because the Lakers didn't want to give up Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, which is all it would have taken to get that third piece, that serious third piece, instead of this fake one that is Austin Reeves. Now, I think he's a great role player. And we already talked about the first option, second option, third option on any championship level team.
Mhm.
If they had landed DeJounte Murray, regardless of the production that they would have lost from Russell and Reeves, they would have had
Yep.
that first, second, and third tier option, which would have propelled them anywhere upwards from where they are right now. But in a Western Conference that's so tough, I don't think that the Lakers have even a fighting chance of making it deep in the playoffs this year, if they even make it in the playoffs.
I think that holding on to Austin Reeves is good for this Lakers team. He's the last piece that I can think of being a young player that's developing on this squad. So I don't hate them holding on to him, but again, the idea that you missed out on D'Angelo Russell because you wouldn't give him up is a bit concerning. Because what's his real ceiling? Being a guy like Tyler Hero in this league, you know what I mean? Like a solid...
Missing out on DeJounte Murray?
No, I mean, what is Austin Reeves' ceiling?
I don't think his ceiling is being Tyler Hero. I don't think he makes it that far.
Okay.
To be honest,
I think that's his ceiling. I think that's the best that he could become is a solid second to third option on a winning team, who is capable of going out and having a big night like he had against the Celtics. I still think that you make this deal if you're the Lakers, but
I do too, because if you look at the Celtics are the best team in the league right now. Their number 3 option is Kristaps Porzingis. He had 31 points last night.
Yeah.
And it was just an average night.
Right.
Do you think Austin Reeves is ever going to have 31 points on a night where LeBron and AD are in the lineup and have it just be an average night? Probably not. Probably not. But on a winning team, he could be that third option. I could see that.
Okay.
But if you're looking for a third option on a winning team, DeJounte Murray is much better in all facets of the game.
So do you think that the Hawks lost by not giving him up?
Yeah.
Or just not moving him at all?
I think that the Hawks lost by not moving him at all.
Okay.
Maybe lost is the wrong word. I think the Hawks stay the same. They just have an unhappy player on their team. They stay a play-in range team.
Yeah.
I don't really think they go up. I don't really think they go down.
Right. They stay mediocre.
Yeah.
Which is the place that you don't want to be in the
It's
NBA.
the worst place to be in NBA. All right, well, enough said about the trade deadline. We'll probably go a little bit more in depth. We're going to have an all-star episode, a little mid-season check-in coming at you later.
Yeah,
but until then, first episode on camera, how do you think it went, Al?
It went good. It's weird to see myself and see you while doing this. I do too. I think it's it's nice. It's nice. It's a nice little beat switch.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for listening. This has been the Super Bowl special 1-year anniversary.
Hell yeah.
First video episode on the Corner Office. Keep a lookout on our YouTube channel, which is coming, should be up, obviously, by the time that this is out. Happy 1-year anniversary, Alex. As always,
thanks, man.
This has been the Corner Office. I'm Jack Byrne.
And I'm Alex Penders.
Corner 3.
Corner 3.